It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard, you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
All of the predominantly black colleges' presidents are Boule members. In fact, at one point, Jackie Robinson ridiculed Malcolm X for not speaking at any of the black schools. But the reality was the black schools wouldn't let him speak. And just like that with Coakley, Tuskegee, the president, come out and stop the students from writing up the check. At Southern, they just put down a $1,500 lecture because they said the president will not allow them. At Alabama State, the students had a walkout to try to get Coakley to speak, and that didn't help them either. At Hampton University, Uncle Bill Harvey, Boule, stood at the gates to stop me from coming on the campus to speak. At Morgan State, the President Richardson called the state troopers to the campus to throw me off the campus to stop me from speaking. And as long as I've been at Howard giving 50 different lectures, not a one of them ever been financed by Howard. I just rent the rooms. And so we're now talking about a whole group of black things, public schools, teachers, high schools, and then colleges built by a group of whites to keep militant blacks off the set and to protect the big rich white man to continue to do the evil, to bring the world in unity for the rise of their antichrist. All right.
Are certain white people in key positions who dominate all other white people and compel behavior of all others. Now that we've gotten deeper, we know that there's secret societies in there who make sure that though the bulk of the society is afraid of what they do not know, that others operate in a society as few questions and operate under the principle of oath takers. One of the things that was the key to even in your case was the breaking of the code of silence of the officers. But it's not just the officers, it's the doctors. It's the lawyers even are compelled to defend that damn Constitution. I don't care how bad the government gets. They must protect that paperwork because that's upon what they are. They are a lawyer based on law. If there is no law, they are no lawyer no more. So they are in to defend it. At some point, we may be in conflict, that they may be forced to defend something we're trying to tear down. And it was those oath takers, and it was with the help of Dick Gregory, who told me when he couldn't bust down on the Boule like needed to be done, that he had got webbed up in that Alpha Phi Alpha thing, but that I needed to understand about that bind or that bond that those societies put upon a member that compelled that member to obey. And there
is the one who was picked to replace Martin King, but Jesse is the one he trained. If you had spent all this time on putting him in place and you ain't got nobody else around Martin. Now Andy was supposed to be shot with Martin, but Andy wasn't on the balcony, he was on the floor, so he didn't get it. Ralph was inside, so he didn't get it. Key point, if you spend all that time and Martin's about to say you are agent, do you understand that you got to press go on the assassination? Because now Martin is so continuously condemning you, you got wiretaps everywhere. And we know what he said about Jesse in front of everybody, but who knows what he said when it was just him and Ralph?
How much more severe was his accusations? Such that if you didn't kill Martin, of white limitations don't run out on murder. Okay, let's let this run, and then we're going to go back and look at it again in straight speed. Look at. That the cornerstone to the conspiracy to take the lands from the Native Americans and others is hedged in a document called the Constitution. The Constitution. Now, this Constitution was written by a group of people who were aligned secretly through Masonic lodges, which they described themselves as Freemasons. Now, you must come to understand that the cornerstone to the conspiracy to take the lands from the Native Americans and others is hedged in a document called the Constitution. The Constitution. History books, and each of them draw attention to things where they got their ritual from. The Deltas draw attention to Freemasonry, said our ritual came from Mary Church Terrell, whose husband, Robert Terrell, was head of the Masonic Lodge in Washington, D.C. Mary Church Terrell, Mary Church, is the daughter of the first black millionaire in America, Robert Church of Memphis, Tennessee. Huge mausoleum to him there. Those societies, those 4 male, those 4 female, and the boule tend to make up a aristocracy. We talked in the park about the 10%. Not in the sense of us in exclusivity, but them in the terms of deputizing 10% at this time. That was the first. I remember sending someone to the car to bring it in, and we read it from the stage of the boule on July 18th, the day the story appeared, front page LA Times. And I thought it was unusual that the LA Times knew of this society, and I didn't know of them. Now, for our audience to understand, I'm starting off trying to explain to black people the impact of international policy groups like the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, when the bankers began to take over the American cities in the 70s, New York 75, Cleveland 77, Chicago.
Fisk shows all the schools, Atlanta U, all the money. That whole thing was built by the white man. I mean, he built it to the bone. It is not that he just controlled all them historically black colleges, but he has controlled the high schools, the grammar schools, and the kindergartens. Everything. He set it all up. He left none of it for nothing. Remember, it was from slavery to controlled education. In other words, you were in fact just opening the cow out of a barn and sending them in to a barn house. He never really ever got a chance to roam free. There was never a Negro school just for Negroes, by Negroes, Negro finance. There has never, ever been one, ever. Ever. Though they bore our name and perception, we have never, ever had one. This book goes on, shows Howard. Because Fisk, see, all of the predominantly black colleges' presidents are boule members. In fact, at one point, Jackie Robinson ridiculed Malcolm X for not speaking at any of the black schools. But the reality was the black schools wouldn't let him speak.
The black boule and how they slow down the progress of melanated people to maintain their status amongst their peers.
So from the Rothschilds to the Lee family are protected by the 9 black Greek secret societies of black fraternities and black sororities. Well, in the 1969 book, The History of Sigma Pi Phi, Alpha Phi Alpha protects the Rothschilds. Kappa Alpha Psi protects the Oppenheimers. Omega Psi Phi protects the Warburgs. Phi Beta Sigma protects the Rockefellers. Iota Phi Theta protects the Astor family. Alpha Kappa Alpha protects the Bilderbergs. Delta Sigma Theta protects the Habsburg family that exists to this day. Zeta Phi Beta, another boule secret society, protects the Sassoons, and Sigma Gamma Rho, RHO, protects the Lee family. Wait a minute now. So you have 9 black Greek letter secret societies.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard, you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto.
To that Boule logo, you see there's an urn. There's an animal with the wing of the bird, the tail of a lion, and it's got an urn, and it's got its paw over the urn, and it says in the history book number 2 by Hobart Jarrett that in the urn are the names of the people who are chosen to lead the state, which suggests that part of the society function is not to make known who the people of power and authority are. The people of power and authority are. The people of power and
that will be their sacred knowledge. Okay? Now, right here, I was pointing out to let you know that LeBron has a modified version of it, except for his is holding on to a shield, meaning that he's protecting the Boule people. Okay? But this is tattooed. This is real. You can look this up. It's tattooed right on his chest. Just as an example.
So in essence, what you're saying is that the Boule represents the buffer class, the petit bourgeois, the comprador buffer class that manages workers, peasants, students, and middle class in many ways, and are paid well for that. And they receive their direct orders from a European capitalist class.
Yes. So if you would look to today, where Boule members like Vernon Jordan, who is managing director of Goldman Sachs,
He's
Amazon AI,
who is managing director of Goldman Sachs, he took Bill Clinton to his first Bilderberger meeting in 1971. The black man took the white man from Arkansas to the big international meeting. Vernon Jordan, former head of the Urban League, who groomed Ron Brown, who then went on to become Secretary of Commerce, killed in a plane crash, murdered, because Boule are considered domestic. Martin King was Boule. Look at the relationship between Martin and Kwame over going against the war. You don't hear anybody in the African-centered community primarily against the war. They're basically accepting it or looking for what they...
And we know Kwame, a.k.a. who he's talking about, is Stokely Carmichael. Stokely Carmichael was a plant, and he was set to infiltrate the civil rights movement once they found out that Martin Luther King was becoming international. He was becoming too big, and he was actually changing his narrative and forcing people to go after the government for certain things that was conducted upon our people. That was unfair. And he knew that a lot of the land acts were actually supposed to be for our benefit, but it wasn't. They switched it around and gave it to, or handed it to incoming foreigners. He flipped the script, and they came after him.
Try to get when whites are passing out things like, a grant here, this or that. They don't.
But he was Alpha Phi Alpha though. Okay, but yeah, his last 3 years of his living, he flipped it.
To be focused on that money that's being wasted, those billions of dollars.
You see, African community support the war?
They are not. No. I'm just saying they are not pushing against the war.
Yeah.
Same way Martin King.
I understand what you're saying.
When April 4th of 67,
you're right.
1 year before he was killed to the day, when he came out of Riverside Church with Kwame in a shirt and tie in the front row, waiting to hear, because he called and said, "You got to hear this." He comes out against the war. Boule men are told to be domestic, not international. Mickey Leland was Sigma Pi Phi. He tried to stop a starvation going on in Ethiopia, Somalia. His plane crashes into the mountain. Congressman from Texas, he dies. Ron Brown, Martin King, no question. Martin King became international, and that became his biggest sin. He was financed by some of the greatest foundations America ever had to offer. But if they get beyond the defined limit, then there's trouble.
In terms of young people today who are on college campuses who want to join fraternities and sororities, what is your advice?
It's interesting. The movie Stomp the Yard. I thought that was an interesting attempt to try to reconstruct
and sororities. What is your advice?
It's interesting, the movie Stomp the Yard. I thought that was an interesting attempt to try to reconstruct the options, because they are catching hell in the streets. There is a rise of Kemetic-centered, African-centered societies that are repudiations of Greeks. And this is on the rise on many of the campuses around.
And see, that's the problem, especially, see, during his time period, he didn't know. He didn't know. I'm not going to hold that against him, but during that time period, that was the motive, to create these Afrocentric or Afro-centered curriculums within the schools. But at first, they were being taught to the foreigners, so the foreigners will be able to repeat it. Then they passed it down to our people. Okay, that should let you know that something was up. Why would strangers be telling our stories, our real stories, if they were actually real, because they weren't, to foreigners first? And why do we have to, fight in order for that to become a curriculum that we get taught inside of these schools? That's alarming, isn't it? It's not the fact that they were trying to keep it secret from us. It was the fact that they were trying to create it, cultivate it, butter that thing up, making sure that it's, going to stick in their brains. What's the best way to teach somebody that they're a particular person that they're not? How can we, craft this lie and leave loopholes to allow those students to use their imagination to fill in the gaps? It's unfortunate, but that's what happened. And a lot of those people were gravitating towards Kemet, for example, as if we came from there. And there's no record of that neither. Okay? And they calling themselves Kemetic scientists, and it's stupid. Stupid. And all the more reason why a lot of those Pan-Africans nowadays are upset with me, because I have been debunking them. Okay? And their Afrocentric ideologies. And a lot of them are part of these Greek fraternities and sororities right now. They are Masons. Okay? But they are the lower entity. So they have handlers. They have panhandlers. Oh, man. It's hilarious, but at the same time, it's the truth, and it's unfortunate that there's people out there that look like you and I that are set to, upheld the agenda of a foreigner. And that's what they're doing. And the constant repeating of these lies that we have been taught over these years, ever since the 50s and the 60s, actually, it's a problem. It's a problem that we must correct. We have to eliminate this throughout the curriculums, throughout our communities, and throughout our mindsets. Now, I'm not going to, sit here and say that it's going to happen overnight, but it is happening. And the majority of our people are waking up and realizing that, not only is history a lie, but the history that we were told was ours is a lie. All of history is a lie. And that's a
black millionaire in America, Robert Church of Memphis, Tennessee. Huge mausoleum to him there. Those societies, those 4 male, those 4 female, and the boule tend to make up a aristocracy. We talked in the park about the 10%, not in the sense of us in exclusivity, but them in the terms of deputizing 10% of the population to assure that the 90% never catch on. Mm-hmm. And it's very important to know that if you look to Alpha Phi Alpha website, there's alphas, kappas, Qs, and Phi Beta Sigma. There's Zeta Phi Beta, Delta Sigma Theta, AKA, and Delta, I'm missing somebody, Sigma Gamma Rho. If you look to, say, the Alpha website, they brag about being 95% of all black lawyers. Mm. Now, if the Alphas are 95% of the black lawyers, what does that leave the Kappas, the Qs? Okay, now we're in the 90s. They claim to be 65% of the black accountants, the lawyers, the doctors, dominating. And it may be that our professions are dominated by people in the Greek societies. At Howard, there was a student that I tried to help get a doctorate in engineering. very exclusive about giving them out. If you get one, you're set for life. Morgan State, Howard are very exclusive. Took big money from governments to make engineers, but the brothers weren't coming out. And when we got deeply involved, we found how close-knit, how selective the professional process is. So he ended up at the patent office. He was a Kappa. He said, we have 15 blacks, 1 female, 14 brothers, and all 14 of us are Kappas. Only Kappas going to get in here. And there are jobs all over where we think we're applying for something fair and open. But I would suggest that the ruling class recognized this was a very significant period, D-Don, when they decided that they would give a college degree to a person of African ancestry in America who, after Reconstruction, should have been pretty pissed off. And
all right, check 1 2 1 2, and we are black. That was Steve Coakley dealing with the boule, its origins, and some people that are involved in interwoven into the fabric of origin of this thing. Let's just keep in mind, brothers and sisters, that boule simply means advisors to the king. And basically, these 6 gentlemen that kind of put Sigma Pi Phi together, they was kind of patterned this whole boule thing after the Skull and Bones. All right, so you said you had something to read. I'm going to kind of go to the next clip.
Yeah, so from the website, Ghetto Times, TYMZ.com, they've done extensive research and provide extensive information on the boule. One of the articles that was written, and this is relative to what Steve Coakley was just saying, it says, blacks under the spell. By the Greek definition, the word boule was the lower house of the Greek parliament or advisors to the king. There is also a French version of the word which defines a conclave or coming together. Allegedly, this is the version sororities like Alpha Kappa Alpha who call their convention the boule. Using the Greek definition, these career and socially successful blacks are under the control of larger Masonic society of secrets that round up America's doctors, lawyers, real estate owners, and celebrities, commandeering the agenda of the black masses who look to these successful blacks for influence and direction. Over the years and many discussions about the boule, people have asked if the word boule means advisor, A-D-V-I-S-E-R. One would think they've actually given advice instead of taking direction. Well, we all know English is a bastard language, where some say it's even the language of confusion. The word advisor, A-D-V-I-S-E-R, is also spelled A-D-V-I-S-O-R. And when you look up the definition, we find the spellings advisor and advisor are both correct. Advisor is the more common spelling in North America. Advisor, with an O, is more common in Britain. In both places, however, the adjectival form is advisory. In the U.S., advisor may be seen as less formal, while advisor often suggests an official position. So we find in most cases, when speaking of the boule, they are advisors, hence, it is they who take orders, not give them.
Exactly. So the boule is a black Greek secret society based on another secret society founded at Yale University called Skull and Bones. If you do not know what Skull and Bones is, please look up, Google it right now. Skull and Bones. All right, you talk about secret societies. Some people may ask, well, I can't find it online. Stop the blood clot crying. If it's a secret society, there's a whole bunch of things you're not going to find online. It's secret.
And there's a lot of information online that's going to mislead you.
I seen it. Because Revelation is the black prelude to Revolution. I know. Well, Revelation wasn't the last. They took the last chapter away. Was that after the beast rose up, some come kick his ass. That was the Revolution. It came after the Revelation. I seen it. Because Revelation is the black prelude to Revolution. I know. Well, Revelation wasn't the last. They took the last chapter away. Was that after the beast rose up, some come kick his ass. That was the Revolution. It came after the Revelation. Have protected murderers. Looking at a group of men who have protected murderers. So what is the crime of this boule? As we allege, as many of them say, why do you step to my doorstep and accuse me of these things, of which I know not? But their so-called limited understanding is in fact defiance and woven into the oath that they swear that they will never even act like they know who these people really are. We have challenged these people on the radio, TV, in the street, on numerous occasions. Kurt Smoke, the mayor of Baltimore, Jesse Jackson, the head of the Rainbow Coalition, Cecil Murray, all the way down the line. These people that we have challenged have never been able to stand up and honestly turn around and say the truth to the matter. And we understand that. So our job is to come to you with the information so that you can make up your mind. There are several affirmations about this process that we must agree to. A Greek is a fraud. A Greek is a fraud. Now, there are a lot of people going to hear this all over the country. And they want to know, do you understand that a Greek is a fraud? So I want you to holler out if you think that a Greek is a fraud. A Greek is a fraud. Oh, let me try that one more time. You might not be ready because this is going to go to people all over the country. And they want to know, do you believe this? Because if you believe this, this comes to a certain conclusion that will produce other action, which you have affirmed. Is a Greek a fraud? Did the Greek steal from Kemet? Yes. Okay. If the Greeks stole from Kemet and a Greek is a fraud, what then is the fate of those who have perpetrated the Greek in spite of the fact? There, somebody finally caught on. Everybody hollered fraud. Okay, that's the crime, right? Somebody else gave a sentence.
As the focus is geared towards the Black Holocaust, and of course, whenever you have a murder, you must have a murderer. There must be someone who does the murder. So now that we're looking at what was a dead body that has resurrected, we must now find out who tried to put it in a comatose state. For what you will find in all of the people who have come to stand before you as warriors, and those of you who are warriors in your own right, it is our goal to pursue the core of negativity. We have agreed that somewhere at the bottom of our problem there is a core or a main group of key individuals and institutions and organizations who have pulled off consecutively over the years negative activity against our people without retribution. Part of the failure to retribute has been lack of knowledge. Part of what Brother Malik has tried to do here today is to fill the gap and to provide our people with access to information that is denied. I think what each of these men could vouch for in their moments of greatest attack from the enemy, that in the midst of all the greatest sources, I remember Dr. Jeffries on the Donahue show pulling up every book of the hunkies he could find to relay that he didn't need dogma or rumor from the black community to verify what was being done to us. They had, in their own arrogance and braggadocious nature, they had said all the things we needed to say, and the brother stood there with the evidence. And I remember Brother Tony Martin standing moment after moment bringing up the names of those people, institutions, historically and current, in his attack on the people who have attacked him. And he knows there was a point when they looked at him and said, you know, it really ain't about the facts. You see, what you have witnessed in the spirit of the scholar, because it alleged that we lacked the knowledge or the information of the fingers on the points of the people who were doing it, was that when the scholars arose with the information, they and I and others found out that they really weren't interested in the truth. It was bigger than that. Just we took the gray area out of the attack and found out that their attack wasn't based on fact. They were, in fact, the haters they were calling us. I recently had the honor of just leaving the University of Illinois, where I went back for free to retaliate against whites who had attacked me. I don't very often talk to whites. I do not talk to the media. I do not entertain some of the ones I see here today. And as a strategy, one of our cameras must get a picture of all those who are here to take pictures of us. That must happen. We must have always accessible the pictures and the profiles. When Dr. Collard pointed out that Richard Cohen was in the front row, that's when he left. Finger pointing and naming the names does have a way of moving the enemy. So I had the honor, after spending 2-3 hours of dropping Carol Quigley and talking about the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberger Group and the Skull and Bones and the Rhodes Scholars and the Boule, the little Jewish students the next day went to the newspaper and said that Coakley must have got his information out of Mein Kampf. But no, those were good white scholars because, as I've always said, because we've been so indoctrinated, we know it takes a good white scholar to prove to our people that the truth is the truth. Us saying it has never been enough, and we bore that burden in spite of that, and still it wasn't the facts. So if it isn't the facts, then it must be the force. I salute you in the spirit of the Bogard, because the facts will back up the rationale, but it'll be the Bogard that will put it in force. I'm on just quickly tonight to try to add a few names and a few insights. I'll be here again on June 3rd with